Oh, honey, it was all just a big misunderstanding. I guess he said put your pinky up this ant hole, and oh! Hi there, sorry about that, didn't see ya. I'm Nadie, and welcome back to another Cold Blood and Cocktails. You know the drill, come on in, make yourselves at home, but leave all your crap at the door. Ain't nobody got time for that. This, as always, is a house of love, of positivity. Everyone is welcome, for the most part. No, I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you for tuning in to yet another episode. Today we are talking about the Anthill cult. Anthill Kids cult? It was fucked up. Oh my goodness. I'm not gonna go too deep into the torture, but we are gonna be talking about some torture today. Like, not even the fun kind. Is there fun torture? Depends on if there's tequila involved. Well, there was no tequila, there was no fun, there was nothing good. But before we get into our case today, we have our cocktail. Oh god, that's nasty. Dishwasher don't do shit. We have the Kool-Aid communion if you want to partake and drink along with me. It's very, very watered down. It's supposed to be like neon red, like maraschino cherry red. But I must keep my wits about me, otherwise half the video will be me on the floor. Which actually I feel like some of you might enjoy. Okay, so for this we have 1 ounce of vodka, an ounce of coconut rum, half an ounce of amaretto, 2 ounces of cranberry juice, you know, just in case you've got a little bit of a UTI, an ounce of pineapple juice, a splash of lemon lime soda just for the fizz, and then you can garnish it with a maraschino cherry or a plastic ant. I used all mine on my face. And I didn't have any cherries. I was too busy popping them. But fill a tall glass with ice, pour in the vodka, the coconut rum, the amaretto, add the cranberry juice, pineapple juice, and stir to blend. You know the rest, top with the soda. I don't have soda, I don't drink pop. Oh, fuck, I should not have watered it down. Watered down cranberry juice just tastes like pennies to me. All right, my darlings, cheers to you. So grab your winter coat, your long underwear, your flannel bra, because we're taking our asses all the way back to rural winter Quebec? Quebec? How do you say it? Comment down below. It's just gonna be a bunch of people commenting Quebec. I don't know, but the snow is that kind of silent, suffocating white that makes you feel like you're walking on a maxi pad. And then there's that yellow spot and it's me drunkenly peeing behind the tree like, hi. No, but imagine you're standing barefoot outside a log cabin in the middle of buttfuckville nowhere. The wind is cutting through your skin like a Temu razor you should have switched out 2 weeks ago. And across from you, grinning like he's about to give a TED talk on how to be God's favorite little bitch boy, is Roch Thériault? Thériault? Damn, I am not doing good with this pronunciation stuff today. He was the cult leader, the prophet, and the human embodiment of a rabid baby-dicked raccoon that found a bottle of apple pie moonshine. He's holding a kitchen knife and you don't know if it's for the carrots on the table or for your fingers. With this man, there's no way to tell. One of your fellow family members, because here you're not followers, you're God's children, they've apparently sinned. And by sinned, I mean she looked at Roch the wrong way, left the toilet seat down, didn't put enough raisins in the bread dough, or maybe she was a little bit toothy with her head game that day. Whatever it was, Roch decided that the only solution is punishment. He orders her to strip down completely, and not for anything sexual either. This dude somehow managed to be both a horny-ass creep and disturbingly asexual when he's dishing out his worst punishments. Nah, this sick fuck wanted this poor woman to feel humiliation. He wanted control. He was like the kid during someone else's birthday party that tries to blow out the birthday candles. Oh my god, those annoying little shits. His nips would leak liquid gold if he could break people down until they'd rather chew on wasabi flavor barbed wire than challenge him again. And I'm all for fun nicknames, but this guy was a little bit of a weenie. He called himself Moses, but instead of parting the Red Sea, he'd part people from their teeth, their toes, and sometimes literal body parts. So here he is standing over this poor young lady who's just trembling her tits off and dramatically tells her that God is speaking through him, which, if that's true, then God must have been on angel dust that day, because he's apparently dictating orders like, hit her with a belt, then pour boiling water on her back. The other members are just sitting there in total and complete silence. Glenn and Janice are more stunned than when their daughter told them she was joining a lesbian bowling league, but they're all too scared to say shit about shit. They know better than to interfere. This isn't just punishment, this is the show, and Roch, he is the only star. Okay, Rachel Berry, get your shit together, sir. And who the hell, might you be wondering, is this weirdo? Well, Roch was born in 1947 in Quebec, whatever, to a very strict family. And when I say strict, I mean guilt was like a second language kind of strict. And we've covered several of those kinds of killers, and I can't say it ever ends well. And of course, as a kid, he was smart, charming, and had that annoying as shit talent of convincing you he knew more than you did, even if he was dead ass wrong. Gah, I went to school with kids like that, and they could convince a teacher to give them a hall pass and they'd be gone for like the rest of the period. Probably to smoke a joint with the janitor. or could have at least invited me. But of all the things someone with that talent could use it on, this dude had to become this? Anyways, he dropped out of school in like the 7th grade, but instead of working the land like everyone else, he developed a taste for drama, attention, and being the center of every conversation. Oh shit, you know, some of these people are so relatable. Oh, but I don't kill people, that's the big difference. By his 20s, he'd married young, shot a couple kids out his splooge socket, and was working in construction. But Roch hated hard work almost as much as he loved controlling people. Like, ew calluses, ew sweat, ew grime. Again, though, relatable. Ah, shit. His stage? Oh, it was the world, and the world, that was his oyster. He wanted to be adored, obeyed, and preferably worshipped, but without putting in an honest day's labor, so he pivoted to religion. At first, it was harmless, just your average bearded hippie in the 1970s, dabbling in the Bible studies and alternative health, pine sap soap, no shoes, and so many trees to hug. And then, one day, he discovered the Seventh-day Adventist church, and oh mama, he was hooked. That place was like his nicotine. That shit made his donkey kick, it made his pudding pop, and his whistle wet. I mean, the end of the world was coming and everyone needed to repent, and most importantly, they needed a leader. What perfect timing too, because guess who volunteered for that role? He became obsessed with the idea that the apocalypse, it wasn't just near, it was basically next Tuesday, so get your canned goods ready right the hell now, damn it. Like right now, right now. Now, do it. Get you that canned cream corn. Oh shit, though I do love canned green beans. Oh, and green bean casserole. Oh. So Roch started building a little following amongst the other Adventists, charming them with his back to the land philosophy. Leave the cities, he'd preach, they're full of sin and corruption. Also, to his pure bafflement, the city was full of people who wouldn't listen to his bullfuckery. Imagine that. So in 1977, he gathered a small little group of loyal followers, mostly women, because even though he was a creep, the ladies loved that shit. Like, remember Charles Manson? It's like he was a moldy looking chick magnet. I don't fucking get it. But these ladies, they love that moldy, musty, dusty D. Regardless, he took these little ladies and moved them out to the wilderness of Ste. Marie, Quebec. Fuck, I'm gonna Google this. How to pronounce Quebec? Quebec, or Quebec?
Quebec.
Well, fuck. You know what? We're calling it Quebec. They built a commune together, hammering away in the snow until little cabins speckled the landscape like a Kincaid painting in your Caucasian sister-in-law's sitting room. They all have one. Roch declared they were God's children working together like ants in an anthill, thus the name the Anthill Kids. Did you see the ants on my face? And I don't really think of a winter cult. I always picture cornfields in summertime. Who wants to be in a cult in the winter? Ew, just ew. But life on the commune started all happy. It was all boobies and buttercups with big smiles and big promises. Fresh veggies, clean water, none of that evil city influence, just a pure little Eden where everyone loved each other and worked together like ants. Except in Roch's Eden, there was no apple tree. The only forbidden fruit was questioning Roch. And the punishment for biting into that fruit was whatever hellish, sadistic thing he felt like dishing out that day. At first, his control was kinda on the DL, like that totally straight guy on Grindr who wants to try anal but is definitely totally 100% not gay. Yeah, this guy was on the low-low. His shit was more on the subtle side. He started calling Karen a fatty patty, and that led to him dictating what everyone ate, which was fine because he was just looking out for their waistlines. Now that he read that Jenny Craig book, he was all about that whole diet life. Well, now that everyone's fit as fuck, he starts giving Lenny the side-eye because he was being a lazy sack of shit. So he'd dictate when they worked. And people did start kind of think maybe he was putting the dick in dictator, but at this point they were so brainwashed and model thin, they didn't even have the wherewithal to speak up. And when they would start to speak up, Roch realized these people wouldn't have the brain power to speak up if I controlled their sleep cycles, so he did that too. He decided who could have sex with who, which naturally almost always meant himself. The women, he declared, were chosen to bear his holy children because he was the true prophet. And apparently, the G upstairs had him on a strict and aggressive breeding program. His wives grew in number, but overall, his followers started pulling out, which is more than I could say about Roch. But his ego was swelling up like a sponge soaking up spilled vodka, and so was his cruelty. His punishments went from humiliation to full-blown sadism. He beat people with belts and hammers, and if they really pissed him off, he'd have them stand naked in the snow for hours like some fraternity hazing. One of his favorite tricks was to make people strip down into their birthday suit and then dress them in the weirdest costumes ever. Otherwise, the ladies had to wear identical full-length green tunics, and then the men wore beige tunics. Sometimes he'd shave their heads, sometimes he'd smear them in mud or ashes. Once he forced a woman to wear a sheep carcass like a coat while the rest of the group threw insults at her. This was like a terrible drag queen roast. The twisted theater of it wasn't a side effect, it was the point. Like, he loved this. And get this shit, he'd make followers break their own legs with sledgehammers just to prove their loyalty. A full-on Kathy Bates misery moment, but to themselves. I'm sorry, but my own mama could be like, go break your leg with a hammer, and I'd be like, bye, Felicia. I guess he even once nailed a kid to a tree, literally nailed their hand like a fucking crucifix, and like, I'm not a fan of kids, as we can probably tell, but holy tits on a tractor, that is fucked up. He was also pretty handsy with a blowtorch too, which I'll let you use your imagination with what he did with that. But what the hell, right? This psycho wasn't just abusive, he liked to play doctor too. Whenever someone got sick or injured, which was probably because of something he himself did to them, Roch was always like, nope, no doctor for you. Urgent care? Like, fuck that. He was convinced he could heal them himself, and his treatments were insane. Like, he'd slice into people's skin with a dull hunting knife, pour alcohol into the wound, and then stitch him up with fishing line. No drugs, no rag to bite on, and if you passed out from the pain, he'd accuse you of being possessed by Satan and start cutting somewhere else just to try to wake you up. What an absolute turd. We haven't even taken a suspicious shot. This whole thing is suspicious. One of the ladies complained about a stomach ache, and in Roch's deranged brain, this meant her intestines needed cleansing. He sedated her with homebrew alcohol, cut her open, and began rummaging around like he'd lost his car keys in the drawer. He removed parts of her intestines, poured molasses and olive oil into her body cavity, and stitched her up. She lasted a whole day before she died in agony. And even after witnessing that, the group stayed. They were like, yeah, that seems like a normal response. I think I saw a treatment just like that on Grey's Anatomy. Sure, they mourned this woman, but they swore she was a saint, convinced her death was holy. Roch spun it into prophecy. He told them that she'd volunteered to die for their salvation, as though her death was somehow gonna make the gods grow crops or some shit. Maybe it'd make them even more potent. And just like that, a horrific killing became another brick in the cult's warped, fucked up mind. Through it all, the group worked like literal ants, hauling wood, hauling ass, planting crops, and tending to Roch's endless needs. And wouldn't you know it, the food started running out, and this was partially because they were in the middle of nowhere, but mostly because Roch hoarded it for himself and rationed it to his peoples. His low followers were able to play their ribs like the xylophone in Somebody That I Used to Know, and Roch would be in his cabin eating mounds of food, throwing it up into his fireplace, then eating as much as he possibly could again. And yet, no one left because he'd conditioned them to believe the outside world was total hell and chaos, that God would strike them like a metal pole in a storm if they ran. This wasn't just a commune anymore, it was a voluntary prison with snow-covered walls, and every prisoner had handed him the key. They still called him Papa, some of the spicier male followers called him Daddy, and they still believed he was saving them. They still suckled his little nuggets on the daily. And here was Roch strutting around like a king, drunk on power, moonshine, and his own demented belief that he was handpicked by the G.O.D. His beard got wilder, his eyes more glassy, his speech is more rambling, and the grip he had on these people, stronger than ever. The real pisser, authorities knew the Anthill kids existed. They knew Roch was dangerous, but they kept shrugging it off because from the outside, it looked like just another weird commune in the woods. No one realized they were sitting on a powder keg. By now it was like 1989, and for over a decade, Roch had kept his little human anthill a-buzzing with fear, pain, and a sick kind of loyalty. But every reign of terror eventually has to hit its breaking point, and Roch's came when a follower finally got the fuck out. The escapee wasn't just running from a bad camping trip, they were running from one of Roch's surgeries, and you know what the fuck we mean by that. I guess this particular follower had suffered a little bit of an injury on the commune, really nothing that should have been life or death, but in Roch's mind, the only real cure was to amputate the damaged parts himself. And by damaged, I mean like not actually damaged enough to require amputation. His toolkit, a kitchen knife, a hacksaw, and his normal medical training of a drunk raccoon. No anesthetic, no sterilization, just him hacking away while the other cult members held the poor soul down. The victim obviously survived the procedure, barely, but it left them in absolute agony. And maybe it was the pain, maybe it was the shock, maybe it was the creeping realization that they thought they signed up for a cute little club and ended up in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know, but they knew this was their only chance to leave. So they slipped away, limping through the snow until they found civilization. Which reminds me of that M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong movie, The Village. Have you seen that? Oh, that shit is fucking wild. One of my favorite movies. But this is kinda like that, but also not really. Well, but though kinda. Anyways, when they staggered into the hospital, bleeding, frostbitten, and missing a chunk of themselves, the medical staff went apeshit. This wasn't just assault, this was proof of everything the townspeople gossiped about in jest, but nobody truly believed. It turned out all the rumors were true. Police were called, and this time they didn't just shrug, they hauled their asses to the commune like a bachelor party to a strip club. Roch was arrested along with several of his most loyal followers, and the family, now terrified and confused, was dismantled finally in a matter of hours. When cops did get a hold of him, Roch didn't break down, he didn't even cry, he didn't even deny anything. He strutted his holy hiney into custody like it was just another chapter in his godly mission. He told the cops they were pawns of Satan, he told reporters this was God's work, and in one particularly nauseating moment, he insisted that the amputations, the beatings, and literal murders were acts of love. Oh, gag me, let's take a sip for that. The trial was a media-feeding frenzy like hyenas on an antelope. The details coming out in court were so weird and brutal and so bizarre that even seasoned journalists were gagging. Roch was charged with first-degree murder plus multiple accounts of aggravated assault. His own followers took the stand, some still visibly broken, describing in detail how he'd mutilated them in the name of healing and punished them in the name of God. Roch would have loved being in the prosecution because they did not have to work hard at all. They had bodies, they had survivors, they had a man on the stand who smugness practically screamed, "Convict me." And in 1993, the jury didn't hesitate at all. Roch was sentenced to life in prison with no parole for 25 years. You'd think that'd be the end, but in prison, Roch still played the prophet. He got himself a new little fan club behind bars. Like, why the fuck didn't he use his talent for good in politics? Like, the charisma never turned off. The only thing that changed was his audience. He ended up dying in 2011, murdered by another inmate. I guess he pissed off the wrong person. And honestly, for a man who lived like he was untouchable, dying at the hands of someone else was the final plot twist he never saw coming. The Anthill kids were scattered, their commune abandoned to rot in the woods, and I guess what's left today is just a creepy shell of cabins, which might still be there, I'll have to Google them, but I guess it's the kind of place you could film a horror movie without changing a damn thing. It seems as though people aren't sure if they've been burnt down or if they are dismantled. Huh, very interesting though, right? How sad, all those people had to be chopped up, some people died. It is so easy to fall into a cult, isn't it? You don't even know you're in one and then suddenly you're in green robes watching someone dance naked around a fire. Been there. Anyways, my loves, thank you so much for being here. Comment down below on cases that you'd love to see me cover. I appreciate y'all so damn much, and please, if you enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe. And if you want to follow me on social media for that once a year that I post, make sure to check me out at Official Nadi, it's N-A-D-I. And you can follow me in my cosmetic line at repopcosmetics.com. I might be wearing a yellowy orange blush that's gonna be coming out. Oh, what? But otherwise, have a beautiful rest of your day, stay safe, and don't forget, if you see somebody who needs a hug, for fuck's sake, give them one.